Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to call our meeting to order. And there's no additions to today's agenda, so can I have confirmation of the council agenda, please? Moved by Gary, second by Scott. All in favor? That one's carried. Declaration of community interest, general nature thereof. Anyone during the meetings? No? Seeing none. We'll move on to our public hearing and meetings. Can I have a motion to go to a public meeting under Section 34 of the Planning Act and to hear applications under the zoning bylaw amendment? And we have zoning bylaw amendment 06-17. So Sandra, better get the motion first to do it, right? Pat, seconded Bill, all in favor? Carried. And now we'll hear from Sandra.
Thank you, Your Worship. Please, Council, I will go through the procedures for the public hearing process. The Mayor, of course, has announced the application number and will announce the second one coming up in a few minutes. And myself, the Planning Coordinator, will read the planning report. The floor will be open to the public. The order of speaking is as follows. Those persons in support of the application, those persons in opposition to the application, those persons seeking clarification, and the applicant will have an opportunity to speak at the end if required. Please note that all persons wishing to speak to the application must address their comments and questions to the Mayor. We advise that before speaking, you must clearly and slowly state your name and address for the record. Members of Council may make comments or ask questions as they deem necessary. A bylaw may be entertained at a later point during the regular meeting of Council or at a later date. Those persons requesting a copy of the notice of decision must do so in writing to the Planning Department, or you may sign the file sheet in the lobby. First application today is ZBA 0617 from Don and Donna Bickle, 3414 Lacey Road, Part Lot 23, Concession 4, being Part 3 on RP 39R 1431, roll number 060-06500. The application was circulated to the neighboring property owners on or before August 28, 2017, and the signs were posted on the property on August 24, 2017, in accordance with the regulations of the Planning Act. The purpose and effect: in fulfillment of condition of provisional consent granted under application B0217 to sever for lot creation. This application is seeking to 1. Rezone the severed parcel to rural residential, and 2. Rezone the retained parcel to special rural residential, recognizing any zone deficiencies as found on the plot plan survey, and regulating the uses and recognizing the dimensions of the detached accessory buildings and structures on the lands. There is one single detached dwelling with garage and outbuildings and farmed lands as the existing use of the subject property. Surrounding uses are residential and agricultural in nature. This companion application was before the Committee of Adjustment a few months ago, and the consent was granted for one new separately conveyable residential lot, as the proposal was in keeping with the provincial policy statement and the township official plan. With respect to the township zoning bylaw, the parent lands are zoned marginal agricultural at the moment, which requires a minimum of 200 feet of road frontage and 5 acres of land. Neither the severed nor the retained would meet these dimensions, but would meet or exceed the requirements of the proposed rural residential zone. In addition, the retained or the developed property is at the intersection of Jib and Lacey Roads. By definition in the zoning bylaw, Jib Road is the legal front lot line of the property, and Lacey is the exterior side lot line, as Jib is a shorter dimension. As such, the house on the retained property has lost any existing non-complying status with respect to the exterior side setback. The applicant has advised that the frame shed enjoys a height of 10 feet and the tin shed enjoys a height of 12 feet. However, the tin shed is approximately 62% of the size of the house, the gross floor area of the house, which is the principal building, where only a maximum of 50% is permitted in a rural residential zone. These aspects, the setback and the size of the shed, are being recognized in the specialized zone for the retained parcel. The special zone will also speak to the permitted and prohibited uses of the existing detached accessory buildings, which were formerly used for housing of livestock. It's the opinion of this department that the proposed zoning amendment, which is condition of provisional consent, appears to be consistent with the intent of the zoning bylaw. Township Public Works, Conservation Authority, and Northumberland County all provided comments of either no objection or in support of the proposed zoning bylaw. And I have prepared a bylaw for council's consideration. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Those in support of the application? Anyone here in support? Yep. Would you wish to speak or just answer questions if need? Yeah. Okay, anyone opposed? Seeking clarification, anyone? No? Council members, any questions? No? Okay, we'll move on to have a motion to reconvene to a regular session of council then, please. You're looking at me. Gary? Second.
We have a second public meeting.
Yeah, I don't have it here in my sheet, though. What's the second one?
Oh, you are correct. You're
No,
correct.
we don't have another one.
Yes, you are correct.
So I got Gary, second by Bill. All in favor? And it's carried. I thought you said a second one. I was trying to figure out which one you were referring
You
to.
are correct.
Okay, and we are now going to move on to our planning reports. So planning report 2017-05, zoning bylaw amendment 0717, and it's the state of Gordon Sherwin. Do you want to just speak on this one, Sandra?
Yes, thank you, Worship. Earlier this year, Committee of Adjustment entertained a consent application for Mr. Sherwin reestablishing the lot line and also establishing 2 legal rights-of-way to provide access. At the time, somehow a zoning amendment requirement became a condition of consent, and as I was processing the zoning application, I realized this zoning amendment was not required. The property was already appropriately zoned. I have contacted the applicant and explained this to him and offered our apologies. With respect to the application fee that he has submitted, Section 11.2 of the Policy and Procedure Manual states that a refund will only be approved if there was a technical error by staff. And yes, I did make a technical error then, so I am recommending that his $900 zoning amendment application fee be refunded. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Can I have a mover to do that then, please? Bill, Gary? Question, Scott, yes?
Sandra, I believe there would have been other fees that the applicant would have been subjected to elsewhere other than here at the municipality. Would it be appropriate if our motion or if at some point in time we were able to create a letter of support to those other agencies, advising them of the circumstances and suggesting that their refunds be granted as well? And if so, how do we go about that?
I have already contacted the County of Northumberland and the Conservation Authority and advised them of what has occurred here to date. I advised them that it was my recommendation that the application fee here be refunded, and of course it's up to them to make their decisions on how they handle their business. Mr. Sherwin has been in touch with both parties, but of course I will forward a copy of the adopted resolution so they are aware of council's intent to do this.
Nothing further would be needed or required by?
I can word a cover letter to say that we are hoping they would support the refund of their fees as well. But of course, we can't tell anybody else how to handle it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
Do you include that in the motion or just the motion?
I think Sandra was going to, had planned to do that anyway, so no, it's good. So we've had a mover, seconder, all in favor? And that's carried. Then we have planning report 2017-06, dealing with zoning bylaw amendment 0817, which is 2073191 Ontario Inc. That's removal of the holding provision. Do you want to talk on this one, Sandra?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. This is the removal of a holding provision. It is similar to a zoning amendment, but it does not require an official public meeting under the Planning Act the way the previous application did. I also want to draw your attention to the numbered company. There was some discussion between the applicant, the agent actually, and myself with respect to the appropriate numbered company, and 2073191 Ontario Inc. is the registered owner of the property, not the other number that was on the staff report. This is in respect of 11 units of a 41-unit draft approved plan of subdivision in Baltimore. 11 of the units on the south end have gone through all the required testing and studies and so forth, and the applicant is prepared to move forward with the development of the southern 11 lots only. So the removal of the holding provision is before council today. Because this is a removal of a holding provision versus a zoning amendment, the decision that council makes today, if positive, is not appealable to the Ontario Municipal Board. If council decides negatively, then of course the applicant can appeal that negative decision. Again, it's just 11 residential lots, and the bylaw will come in force and effect on the... One of the conditions to remove the holding provision was that the subdivision agreement be entered into with the township. This is imminent, and I believe there's some discussion on this a little bit later in today's agenda, whether the agreement is actually signed today or in a week or so. It is imminent. I would like to put forward to council that this bylaw to remove the holding provision go forward with the statement that it will come into force and effect of the date of the execution of the required subdivision agreement, so that we don't hold up any development of the land. The proposal appears to be in keeping with the intent of the provincial policy statement and the township official plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Any questions, comments? Pat, yes?
I was wondering, Sandra, is it unusual to only release part of the hold? Like, is this something that's commonly done?
This is phasing. Phasing quite often happens in a subdivision.
Okay,
So
thank
it
you.
is not uncommon. Your Worship, Mr. Randall Dickey, on behalf of the applicant, is in the audience. Should there be any questions of him?
Okay. Any further questions? Anyone? No? I'm sorry, sir, no, that we don't, it's only for council, so I'm sorry that we don't open it up to the public for comment. So any further questions on this application? No? Can I have a mover then? Pat, you'll move to remove the holding provision? Seconder? Gary? All in favor? That's carried. And then next up, we have Planning Report 2017-07, and that's removal of the site plan agreement from the title of lands, and it's an acknowledgement and direction. Sandra, do you want to speak on this?
Thank you, Your Worship. Back in 1994, Mr. Harris of 5170 Cowley Road in Gore's Landing entered into a site plan agreement with the township with respect to his property, which is described as Part Lot 16, Concession 8, being part of Part 1 on 39R 3288. However, at the time, the document general, which is a cover document that goes into the Land Registry Office, described the property as Part 1 on 39R 3288 instead of part of Part 1. Therefore, that agreement ended up being registered on two other parcels that were severed off of the parent parcel a couple of years earlier in error. The registration was in error. Now, one of the parcels is being sold, and the new property owner doesn't want the encumbrance of the site plan agreement on his property. It doesn't apply. So in order to get this corrected at the Land Registry Office, we do need a acknowledgement and direction signed by council, and then we can go forward to the lawyers involved and they can get it all figured out. There's no implications on the township. And if we don't do it, then if we as a municipality do not remove the site plan agreement from the incorrect property, then it would leave a cloud on title.
Thank you, Sandra. Questions on this one, everyone? No questions? Can I get a mover then? Pat, you'll move. Seconder? Bill, all in favor? And it's carried.
Thank you.
Planning reports, or planning bylaws, sorry. We have bylaw 2017-39, we're dealing with the Bickle property, and this is a bylaw to replace the lands to place the lands into a rural residential zone and a special rural residential 27, RR 27 zone in fulfillment of the condition of severance B0217, Part Lot 23, Concession 4, and that be given first, second, third reading and finally passed the 19th day of September 2017. Mover to do that, please. Gary, seconder Scott. All in favor? That one's carried. And then we have bylaw 2017-40, removal of holding zone for 2073191 Ontario Inc. And this is on Part Lot 6, Concession 2, file number PR Subdivision 2004-003, and further that such provisions of the bylaw shall come into force and effect on the date of execution of the subdivision agreement, and that it be given first, second, and third reading and finally passed this the 19th day of September 2017. Mover to do this, please. Pat, seconder Scott. Comments? All in favor? Carried. And then we have bylaw 2017-44, an acknowledgement and direction, and that's to remove the site plan agreement. And that's on Part 2 on Plan 39R-3787 on site plan agreement, as the site plan agreement has no effect on the severed parcel of land, that it be given first, second, third reading and finally passed the 19th day of September 2017. Mover to do this one, please. Gary, seconder Pat. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, now we have adoption of the previous minutes of council and committee of the whole meetings. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
And first up, we have the regular session of council on July the 18th, 2017. Can I move that they be adopted, please? Bill, Gary, anything from those? All in favor? Carried. Then we have the committee of the whole meeting, which was September the 12th, 2017. Can I have a mover on these ones, please? That they be received for information? Scott, seconder. Pat. Comments? No? All in favor? And it's carried. And then we have committee reports. We have the minutes of the Cobourg Public Library, and this is back in June 2017. Can I have a mover that they be received? Mover, Pat. Seconder, Gary. Comments? All in favor? Carried. Then we have the minutes of the Cold Springs Memorial Hall Advisory Committee meeting, and that was the August 24th meeting. Can I have a mover that they be received for information purposes? Gary. Seconder, Scott. Anything from those? All in favor? Carried. And then we have the minutes of the Heritage Advisory Committee, July 26, 2017. Can I have a mover that they, since there was no quorum, that they simply be received for information purposes? Scott, seconder Pat. Comments? All in favor? Carried. And next up, we have Public Works and Infrastructure, and Paul's going to come forward. First is a closure and disposal of a road allowance. And do you wish to speak on these, Paul, or just answer questions as need be?
I believe just answering questions should suffice. I believe the reports are fairly self-explanatory, Your Worship.
Okay, so the motion, does anybody have any questions for Paul before I go through with the motion? No? Okay, so the first one up, that report from Public Works and Infrastructure 2017-13 regarding the request for the closure and sale of road allowances be received, and that Council of the Township of Hamilton enacts as follows. The Council accepts the recommendation from Public Works to deny the request from J. Cassidy to the closure of the portion of the 4th concession line west of Theatre Road North, which is inconsistent with the Township policy. And that Council accepts the recommendation from Public Works to approve the request from Gordon Ewart to close a portion of the 5th concession line between Hickerson Road and Cromas Road, which is consistent with the township policy, and that council pass a resolution deeming the subject lands forming a portion of the 5th concession between Hickerson Road and Cromas Road surplus, and direct staff to proceed with the road closure and conveyance process as outlined in the policies and procedure for closure and disposal of road allowances, and to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and execute all required documentation. Mover to do that, please. Scott, seconder. Gary, all in favor? And that's carried. And then next up, we have another report dealing with the Spring Road extension request. And do you want to speak on this, Paul, or just answer questions again? The report was good, so.
Your Worship, this one is slightly unusual, so I can make some initial comments if you'd like.
Sure, yep, you go right ahead.
Yeah, okay, through Your Worship. Yeah, we did. We received this request just to allow the extension of Spring Road, which is a dead end road off the 6th line. So I had listed in the discussion portion the policies when roads could be extended or not extended, and generally this appeared to fall under one where we would not consider the extension. However, in investigating the history of this location, it was determined that this lot had been properly created through the Committee of Adjustment, and it was also council had in the past approved an exact similar request from a different applicant on this for this portion of road. So in light of the history of this section of road, I felt that council should approve the request from Mr. Moore to be able to investigate with requirements to extend the road.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Any questions from council members? Pat, yes?
I was just wondering, is the ending part of the road going to be a T, like the original plan, or have things changed that we were looking for something different?
Yeah, that hasn't been determined because I haven't actually met Mr. Moore on site. It would require some facility where the large vehicles, the garbage trucks, snow plows could turn around, and that had been accepted in the past. So it would likely, if that was deemed appropriate, then we would have to accept it now. But it's that was not part of his request per se. So it's it would be something acceptable, but I didn't include that in my recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Bill? Yeah?
Yeah, just to try to simplify this for me, Paul. So currently this will be against our policy, but what we're being asked to do basically is to honor a decision made by a previous council. Is that pretty well in a nutshell?
Through Your Worship, that's my that is my recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Oh, Arthur, you want to say a few words? Yeah.
If I may, through you, Your Worship, it was a decision with the resolution, but it was also a decision of the planning committee to create the lot as well. So it's more than just simply, a statement of intent. There were some planning decisions made at the same time.
So more condition.
That's why we're making the recommendation as it is, yes. Thank you.
So can I have a mover that report from Public Works Infrastructure 2017-14 regarding the Spring Road extension request be received, and that Council of the Township of Hamilton enacts the following: that the council approves the request to allow Vernon Moore to extend Spring Road in order to construct a dwelling on lands within Part Lot 35, Concession 6, more particularly described as Part 2 on Plan 39R-2700, subject to the road being brought up to the Ministry of Transportation standards in compliance with the township policies, and that all costs be paid by the applicant. Mover to do this, please. Scott. Seconder, Gary. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Next up from Corporate Services, we have our budget schedule. Can I have a mover that the report from the Treasurer 2017-14 regarding the draft 2018 budget schedule be received and approved for posting? Mover to do that, please. Gary. Seconder, Bill. Comments? Comments on the budget? No? All in favor? Carried. And next up, we have a report from the Treasury Department again, 2017-15, being a vesting of unsold tax sale property. Do you want to speak to this one, Paul, at all? Or?
Thank you, Mayor Lovshin. So this was a property that went up for tax sale back in 2015, about 3 months before I started at the township. It was an unsuccessful tax sale, and I've outlined in here the courses of action that we were able to take under the Municipal Act. My recommendation at this point is to vest the property. There's at this point no interest in that property, and we're able to recoup some of the county and school board taxes in this fashion. So I believe this is the best course for the municipality.
Okay. Any questions on this? No. Can I move that we receive the report and the council enacts the following: that council authorizes the treasurer to vest the property with the roll number 14190000506415000, and it's on Hickerson Road, into the ownership of Hamilton Township, and that the outstanding municipal property taxes and penalties be written off as uncollectible. Mover to do that, please. Pat. Seconder, Bill. All in favor? Carry. And then we have a report again from the Treasurer, 2017-16, the OCIF and its top-up funding. And do you want to speak to this one, Paul, or not?
Thank you, Mayor Lovshin. I think it's fairly, the report has all the information. We have a couple of projects on the go that could be considered for this application. The application is due on September 27th. One for the bridge, Coburg Bridge replacement on Division Street, which we had applied for last year and were unsuccessful, as well as the project on Rice Lake Drive South, which ACON has done a considerable amount of work to drive it towards being shovel ready. I'm asking for council's direction on this to be able to decide between the two projects. Unfortunately, with this one, we're not able to apply for two projects. We have to pick one and only apply for one.
So which one of the two are you feeling that you'd have most success with, Paul? From past experiences with funding, Rice Lake Drive South doesn't meet the traffic count requirements. However, because it's an asset that was handed down to the municipality in a state that needed repair, I've seen that there has been great success in going back to the province to get some funding in order to restore those projects. We saw it with Gore's Landing, had some success in that same capacity, that same type of an application. So I would say at this point that maybe Rice Lake Drive South might be something that we could see some success with. Okay, can I get someone to put that on the floor to move that along? Pat, you'll move that we go with that one? Seconder, Gary, comments? Pat, yes?
I just wanted clarification. When it was handed down in 1973, was it in a deteriorated state then?
I'm not sure, through Mayor Lovshin, I'm not sure if it was at that point, because of the fact, the type of construction, now remember, I'm an accountant, not an engineer, because of the fact that is cement underneath, it's been brought to my attention that to resurface it just does not work. So the basic construction from the setup causes a higher cost for a full restoration of the road, meaning it's my understanding the asphalt will have to be completely removed and then replaced with asphalt. So at the time, it might have been in a drivable condition, but 35 years later, now we're in a much a state that's not the same as when we received it.
I realized it was the one with the concrete underneath, and I don't know how many times we've tried to figure out how we're going to get this done because it's not a typical road for us. So I stand with what the motion is. I just am hoping that if it was drivable in 1973, they're not saying it doesn't count, because I would really like this one done.
Yeah, a lot of us would, including those that live on that road. Bill, yes?
Yeah. Paul, you referred to a vehicle count, and that's something I'd written down to ask about. Have we done a vehicle count for both locations?
Through Mayor Lufshin, yes, Councillor Kane, the information's available. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the website, slipped my mind, but there's a statistics website that provides road counts for all roads across Ontario. So I have not written it down here, but I have that information, consulted that information. For a bridge, traffic counts are not part of the criteria, so it's not even a consideration.
And if I could ask one more question, is one a greater liability risk than the other, not to have it done?
In all honesty, both projects need to be done at some point. I believe the bridge on Division Street has weight restrictions and could require further weight restrictions. The project on Race Lake Drive is quite deteriorated to the point where the engineers are saying it needs to be done very, very soon. I can't provide a clear-cut answer. They both need to be done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Gary?
Yeah, just for clarification, the Rice Lake Drive, that's the old Highway 28, and also we ran into the same problem when we were in the area, we surfacing that, the same conditions existed there that we have here, and if we don't look after it sooner or later, I think the side roads are getting, well worn out.
That's correct. And just for clarification, this is the Rice Lake Drive South, so it's from County Road 9 down to where it connects with 28.
Yeah. It's pretty bad in spots, that's for sure. Any further comments on this one? All in favor, then? We go forward with the Rice Lake Drive South restoration. All in favor? All in favor? Yes, it's carried. Okay, next up, we have our accounts payable position. Again, this is dealing with the Treasurer's Report 2017-17. Do you wish to speak on this one, Paul?
Thank you, Mayor Lovshin. I believe all the information is contained within the report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, well, I'll read off the motion here then that Council rescind the resolution, which is RES 2017-120 from the May 8th, 2017 Council meeting, being a motion to grant the Treasurer's request for a change in a position within the Finance Department from accounts payable to a Deputy Treasurer, procurement specialist, and with an increased salary range. So all we're doing here is rescinding our motion. So can I move her to do that, please? Gary, seconder. Scott, comments, questions? All in favor? Carried. And then we have Lake Shore Pentecostal Camp servicing agreement. That's CAO's report. Arthur, do you want to speak on this one?
I'll make some brief remarks, Your Worship. This is a request from Pentecostal Camp to receive the support of the Township of Hamilton to have discussions with the Town of Cobourg and Lucy with respect to obtaining servicing their property. It will help address some ongoing servicing issues that they're experiencing on their property as far as working with the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. And we're seeking your support to be able to have those discussions with the town to see if servicing can be extended to their property. We don't foresee any costs directly to the township for this. This would be something that the camp would undertake and cover the charges that would be come through the discussions with the town of Coburg and Lucy. And the order is we get approval from council to have the discussions with the town, and then we would pursue those. The town council accepts the further discussions. We would then continue a staff discussion between our staff and the town staff as well. So it's really to obtain a first step in this approval, try and help them deal with their servicing issues and facilitate those discussions.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. Questions on this one? Scott and Bill?
The servicing that could go forward after acceptance of all the reviews would be the provision of municipal water, or would it be anything above and beyond that?
The request from the Pentecostal camp is for obtaining both municipal water as well as municipal sewers. We are having that discussion to obtain both, because if they're going to open the ground, the concept is to have both services put down at that time. However, again, it's subject to the discussions that we have with the town and with Lucy to make sure that any arrangement is one that is acceptable to the town, to us, and to the camp themselves.
Okay. Yep. Bill? Yep.
Is there any discussion of this including a road?
We've had no discussions about a road across or alternate access. I understand in the past, through your worship, there have been access discussions as far as for emergency, but at present there's no negotiations or discussions with respect to a road. This is the provision of services for the 1.3 kilometers or so across to connect to the services.
If we're going to make a request at all, this would be a good time to maybe include some kind of a road. Like emergency access to that park is through a level train crossing. That's the only in and out for fire and ambulance and police. That's been a long-standing issue. I don't know if we want to include that or not, but they must have to build some kind of road to do the infrastructure.
It's something that you definitely could look at. We're just at early stages right now.
Understand
so
that.
We definitely look at that.
Get our speak in early.
Sure. Might as well ask now, is not. Yep. Good idea.
Through your worship, Councillor Kane, we can include that as part of the discussion and see where it goes, whether and what financial implications would be to build something like that. That would be on the Sept property, the road, so that they would definitely be part of those discussions as well. As they are for the servicing, they would have to be part of that as well. But we could include the road as part of those discussions as well, certainly. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions at this point? All in favor? Carry. I didn't have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. I better get a motion first. Bill will move. Bill will second. Scott will second. Now we can go all in favor. Sorry about that. And it's carried. And next up, we have another report from the CO dealing with 2017-07, dealing with off-road vehicle use on municipal roadways. And Arthur, do you want to speak on this one? I believe you came up with 4 options. And
certainly, Your Worship, I provided 4 options for council to consider on this issue. Obviously, you can create more options, but this at least tries to narrow it from a typical perspective of do nothing through to doing something. And the outline options that I'm providing was to facilitate the council discussion. I wasn't taking a position per se, but providing information for council as requested as a result of the presentation by the Northumberland ATV group back into the Committee of the Whole in July. So without reading the whole report, I highlight the 4 options that you have, which is to do nothing. There are presently policies in place that provide you with the opportunity to pass a bylaw, but you're not required to. It's not a mandatory thing. You could undertake to proceed with a trial to permit ATVs in the future, whether it starts this year or starts at some point in the future, have it as a test, and then we would set up an expiry as a result. You could go with a full, proceed with approval, implement a bylaw, and we could fine tune it or rescind it in the future if it decides that it's not working. But it would in effect be a proposal that would be in place. And the last one I proposed was you could consider having a staff meeting or a meeting with the public to consider the issue further, whether there's any workable ground to have either a bylaw or an approach in place that would work for the township. So I've included all those options for council's discussion and consideration.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. Can I get someone to put a motion on the floor dealing with the ATVs? Gary, you'll move?
I'll put a motion on the floor that we do nothing at this time.
Okay, so you're looking at option 1. Seconder?
I was going to ask, is that if we're doing nothing, is it a motion?
Well, we do have to make a decision, so that'll be the
Okay, so this is
decision.
how we facilitate the
Sure.
decision. I will second.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Anyone else? Yep. Pat, yes?
Okay, I actually would just like to make a small comment, because this has been a big debate for me internally. A lot of the complaints and the letters we've received, I'm not sure that having the bylaw in place would stop the tearing up of fields, etc. The one that was the real tipping point for me is when we have the insurance company saying that it's considered a high-risk activity. I'd still like to see us get some low-risk activities in place before we'll start looking at high risk. I don't think that that's a liability we want to take on right now.
Okay. I'll go to Bill and then Gary.
Thanks, Mark. I think, we've received a huge amount of advice, if you will, on this topic, and I think it's one of those times when, as a councillor, we need to put our personal feelings about this issue aside. I think the ratepayers have clearly told us that they do not support this. And as much respect as I have for Mike and his group, we're here to represent the people of our municipality, and they're telling us loudly and clearly that they don't want this, so I can't support it.
Okay, Gary?
Yeah. My personal feeling is that, looking and I'm really, it was a decision that, do I favor writing? I do somewhat, but I think the convincing factor was that, with the insurance liability issue and the stuff that the municipality has to do to maintain our roads and make sure that if there's ever an accident or somebody's hurt, that we can back. My personal feeling is that, I may be wrong, but the provincial government obviously was not concerned about liability. Or if they had been concerned about liability, or hadn't been concerned about the liability, they wouldn't have passed the onus on to the municipality, to pass legislation to allow them. So, like an ATV or snowmobiles, they weren't concerned about liability. They just made it part of the proposal that you can drive your snowmobile, and if the municipality didn't want you on, that's their. So they're kind of, in my mind, assuming some of the liability for snowmobiles because they say it's fine to drive them on the road. But here, I think I kind of feel that, and again, it's in my own mind that the liability issue is something they must have considered. They're passing off on the liability issue by saying that the municipality has to allow the ATVs on the roadway. So, there must have been some deep discussion about that. And, but to me, the priority for me right now is the liability issue.
Okay. Anyone else? I'm going to speak on this one because normally I wouldn't be part of the vote, or you wouldn't know what my vote was unless I speak, so I'm going to speak on this one, and I also would agree with option 1 as much as I'd like to see us try something with ATVs within our road system, but our road system to me is just not good enough for what's required for the ATVs. We just simply don't have the road widths, and we simply don't have the road shoulders and that scares me. The worst thing for me to do would be to say, I'd like to see a trial or proceed with approval, and then 2 weeks later we have a fatal accident, and simply because they couldn't get off the shoulder end because our ditches are so deep in spots where there's just simply no shoulder there to warrant them, and that's my main reasons. I mean, the other thing I have to look at, and I will look at, is in saying it, we also have a number of hamlets within our area, and we have a lot more road traffic than some of the other areas that have been granted ATV permissions. So that also comes into an effect, and that all drums down into your liability issue and so forth. So it's a shame that we can't do it. It's a shame we can't come up with some compromise because, ATV riders do pay their share of taxes, and they are good. There's a lot of good people out there that ride ATVs, so, but unfortunately, I just can't support it for those couple of reasons. So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? And it's carried. It's carried unanimously. Next up, we have our Clerk's Department report, 2017-08, which is an acknowledgement and direction and consent agreement. Can I move that the report be received and the council enacts the following: the council authorizes the mayor and clerk to execute the acknowledgement and direction to permit the registration of a consent agreement to the lands described in Part Lot 5 and 6, Concession 2, being Part 3 on RP 39R-3430 to fulfill conditions of consent of approvals B18-16 and B19-16, such consent agreement requiring further connection to municipal water service within 12 months of the service becoming available to the severed and retained parcels of land. Can I have a mover on this one then, please? Gary, you'll move?
I'll move.
Seconder Scott, comments on this one? All in favor? And it's carried. And then we have our subdivision agreement, which is PR subdivision 2004-003, which happened with number 3. It is for 2073191 Ontario Inc. Can I have a mover that the report be received and that council authorizes the mayor and clerk to sign and execute a subdivision agreement between the corporation of the Township of Hamilton and 2073191 Ontario Inc., subject to and upon receiving confirmation from the municipal clerk and solicitor that the terms and provisions of the subdivision agreement satisfactorily address the required conditions of aforesaid draft agreement, or draft approval, which was subdivision 2004-003. Can I have a mover to go forward with this then, please? Pat, seconder. Bill, comment. Pat, yes?
I'm just, again, clarification. So the original draft subdivision was 2006. Is what's coming forward now essentially the same as what was presented in 2006, or can they make major changes? And if that's the case, do we see it again? Because it went to Primpa the first time, right?
Yeah, I'll let Kate speak to that then.
Okay, so actually the PR number 2004/003, that's the year and the item number of the subdivision.
Okay.
So they have met their conditions. This would be it. Like registered M plan has to be registered in order for the county to sign that plan and deposit that together with the subdivision agreement. So there's no more changes. We're just formalizing the draft plan approval conditions into a subdivision agreement.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Mover and seconder, right? All in favor? That's carried. Okay, next up we have, again from the Clerk's Department, 2017-10, a temporary road closure, and that's on Willis Road. And this is to allow, of course, for the Bethlehem Walk. So the council approves the temporary closure of vehicular traffic of Willis Road, and that it be established as a pedestrian walkway between the hours of 4 and 10 p.m. And this will take place on November 17th, 18th, and 19th for the Bethlehem Walk event. Mover to do this, please. Gary, seconder. Pat, comments? All in favor? Carried. And from the Clerk's Department, dealing with Local Government Day, which is October the 17th, which is where we're going to have our council meeting. It'll be at the Cold Springs Hall. Can I have a mover that don't you want me to read all this? Okay. Okay, so all I need is a mover and a seconder. Just that says you're a mover and second. You don't want me to do that? Yeah. Okay. Okay, that we receive the report and that you don't want this. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to we're going to receive the report, and the council approve the exception to the procedure bylaw to remit the holdings of the the October 17th regular council meeting, which will be held at the Cold Springs Memorial Hall, and it'll be at 1 o'clock, and which is held in conjunction with the local government day for Hamilton Township, and that notices be posted on the municipal website, the LED sign, and administrative office. Can I have mover to do that, please? Scott, seconder. Bill, all in favor? So don't forget to go to Cold Springs Hall next council meeting. Okay. Next up, from the Clerk's Department, 2017-12. These are the vacant lots that are on Beach Street in Bewley. Can I have the motion to receive the report and that the council deem the 3 township-owned lots having direct frontage on Beach Street, Bewley, and they're described as Part 1, 2, and 3 on Plan 39R-1482 as surplus to the needs of the municipality, as privately owned structure is located on a portion of Part Lot 3. A wooden deck is encroaching on Part 2, and a municipal drainage system is being constructed through Part 1, 2, and 3 on Plan 39R-1482. And the council directs staff to proceed with the sale of township land process to the effective address of the encroachments and the structures that impact the properties, and that we report back to council with a recommendation of conveyance. Motion to do this one, please. Scott, seconder. Gary, comments? Does everybody know where these lots are? Yes, Bill? Comment? Question?
The request is for one ratepayer to purchase all the properties? Is that correct?
No.
No,
We're
okay.
not saying that.
Because
The staff will come back with that recommendation. when they
because there's more than one building that's been
encroached on.
right. Okay.
Yeah, and then we also have a waterway that we have to worry about.
So we're going to get a more detailed report from staff.
Right now, it's just to say that they're surplus.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. And next up, we have communications and announcements. Can I have a mover and a seconder to receive the communication and announcements, and we'll pull them as need be. Mover to do that, Pat. Seconder, Bill. Anyone want anything pulled? Bill? Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to support a couple of the motions put forward by County Council. The one with regards to the Deep Geological Repository that they're talking about putting in
Oh,
the
yes.
Great Lakes system, and the other one with regards to the VIA putting up a frequent train proposal. I think since our county has put those
Forward, that the least we could do is
Support them.
support them.
Okay, can I have a seconder to do that then, please? Bill Booth, got a second. All in favor, we support those 2 resolutions? That's carried. Anyone else want anything pulled? All in favor to receive the reports then? Carried. And next up, we have bylaws. Bylaw 2017-41. It's to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign and execute a subdivision agreement with 2073191 Ontario, Inc. Can I have a mover to do this, please, and give it for second and third reading and finally pass to the 19th day of September 2017? Bill, move. Seconder, Pat, all in favor? Carried. And then we have bylaw 2017-42, an acknowledgement and direction, and this is the consent agreement. Can I have a mover that we go forward with this one, please? Again, giving it first, second, third reading. Gary, seconder. Pat, comments? All in favor? Carried. And then we have the road closure, bylaw 2017-43, dealing with Willis Road. Can I have a mover on this one, please? Bill, Pat, all in favor? Carried. Media questions on today's agenda only. Anything, Valerie?
Yes. Unfortunately, I did not hear who made the motion and seconded it as it related to the ATVs.
We'll turn that over to the clerk.
It was moved by Deputy Mayor Woods and seconded by Councillor McCourt.
Okay,
And then,
and it was unanimous.
yes, worse than that, I got everybody's comments except for Mr. Gibbs, and I'm wondering if he was among those who were concerned about the insurance risks and liability.
Mr. Jib didn't provide any comments during the session.
I see.
He just agreed with the rest of us.
You did vote, you said it was unanimous, but it
Yes.
wasn't a recorded vote.
No, it was not recorded, but everybody had their hand up. And I wanted to make it unanimous because I voted also, so that you knew how I voted.
And then do you have anything in closed session today?
No. Nope. Good, thank you. And notices requirement, do we need to say this? Okay. Okay, so we'll say that October 17th, 2017, the regular council meeting will be held at Cold Springs Memorial Hall within conjunction of the local government day. So that's just for information purposes. And then we have bylaw 2017-45, and that's our confirmatory bylaw. What's this here under it? No. Just take this off, okay. All right, can I remove her that bylaw 2017-45, being a bylaw to adopt the proceedings of the regular council meeting and to authorize its execution, be given first, second, third reading, and finally passed 19th day of September 2017. Mover to do that, Scott. Seconder, Pat. All in favor? Carried. Motion to adjourn, Scott. Second, Pat. All in favor? And it is 1:55.